Wicked made $10 million a minute at the box office in its opening weekend. Wicked, for good, made over $500 million worldwide. And when the 2026 Oscar nominations came out in January, both films' biggest stars walked away with exactly zero. Not one nomination. Not for acting, not for the songs, not even for costumes. And that franchise is basically a costume commercial. And here's the part that actually got people talking. When reporters asked Oscar voters why, several of them didn't blame the movie, they blamed the press tour. One anonymous voter told News Nation, and I'm going to paraphrase this because it's wild, that the promotional appearances were so uncomfortable to watch that voters were, quote, turned off. Another one said watching Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande on a red carpet felt like something nobody wanted to sit through twice. So today, we're getting into it. What actually happened on that press tour? What Erivo has said about all of it? And whether this Oscar snub is actually about a movie or about something else entirely. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because we're about to go through every single piece of this. And I promise you, it gets stranger than a snub. Let's start with the numbers, because they're honestly kind of stunning. The first Wicked movie picked up 10 Oscar nominations back in 2025. Best Picture, Best Actress for Erivo, Best Supporting Actress for Grande, Costumes, Production Design, Makeup, Score, Sound, Editing, Visual Effects, the whole package. Wicked, for good, made more money at the box office than the first film, and it got shut out completely. 0 nominations. It also missed the Golden Globes for Best Picture Musical or Comedy. Erivo didn't get a Critics' Choice nod either, despite being recognized for the first film in that exact category. Now, here's a fact that matters for context. The second film's Rotten Tomatoes score dropped to 66%, down from 88% for the first one. So there's a real, boring, unglamorous explanation available here. Maybe the movie just wasn't as good. But that is not the explanation most of the anonymous voters gave reporters. Multiple sources, speaking anonymously to outlets like News Nation, pointed specifically at the press tour. One voter reportedly said the movie wasn't that great, and that the pair sucked the air out of any red carpet they were on. So, which is it? A weaker film, or a press tour that genuinely worked against them? I want to know what you think, because I have thoughts. And we're going to get into the actual moments that supposedly caused all this in a second. Okay, so what actually happened on this press tour that apparently rattled an entire branch of the Academy? If you spent any time on social media during the Wicked for Good campaign, you already know. There was a moment where a producer touched Grande's arm a little too enthusiastically during a panel, and Grande looked genuinely startled. Erivo reached over and cradled her arm in response. Clip went everywhere. People had opinions. Then there was the interview where the two of them were asked to describe each other's aura. Erivo said yellow, like sunshine. And when it was her turn, Grande said she saw Erivo as this soft, aqua, seafoam kind of blue. It's a 20-second clip. It has been watched more times than some entire movies. And then there's the one that basically became the meme of the entire press cycle, the fixing itch line. In one interview, Grande talked about how she could tell when something was bothering Erivo because she gets what Grande called the fixing itch. People online ran with that phrase for weeks. Here's the thing though, none of this is actually that unusual for two co-stars who spent 5 years together making 2 movies. Actors get close. They say weird, oversharing things in interviews sometimes. It happens constantly. What made this different is volume. It wasn't one interview. It was dozens of them, over more than a year, and the emotional intensity never really came down. Every single stop on the tour had a moment like this. And once the internet decides something is a bit, it becomes very hard to watch it any other way, even when it might just be 2 people who genuinely like each other being a little much on camera. So here's my actual question for the comments. Do you think this was just 2 friends being overly affectionate in public? Or do you think there was something performative going on? Because both of those are real possibilities, and I don't think it's as obvious as either side wants it to be. Now, let's talk about the moment that actually started a much bigger conversation, because this one is not just cringe content. This one involves an actual safety incident. During a red carpet stop in Singapore, a man broke through security and grabbed Ariana Grande. Erivo's reaction was immediate. She pulled Grande behind her and physically shielded her with her own body. The clip went viral within hours. Erivo talked about it afterward on Today. She said, and this is close to her actual words, that she wasn't really thinking. She just wanted to make sure her friend was safe, and that she was sure the man didn't mean real harm, but you never really know in those situations. Now here's where it gets complicated. A lot of people praised that instinct. Rightfully so. A stranger broke through a security barrier and grabbed a woman in public, and Erivo's response was to protect her. That's not a controversial thing to do. But because it happened in the middle of a press tour that had already been labeled overly intense, some of the same commentary that had been mocking the aura question and the arm-touching moment turned this protective instinct into another punchline, which, if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, is a strange thing to mock somebody for. I'm not going to pretend this one is complicated to have an opinion on. A person got grabbed by a stranger and her friend stepped in. That part isn't the controversial part. What's controversial is everything that got built around it afterward. Now let's get into the one that actually pulled in a completely different audience of critics. Because in February 2025, it was announced that Erivo would play Jesus Christ in a Hollywood Bowl production of Jesus Christ Superstar. And the internet did what the internet does. The backlash came from 2 very different directions. Some religious commentators called the casting blasphemous, specifically because Erivo is a black queer woman. One pastor posted that she was, in his words, too bald, brown, and bi for the role. A conservative influencer called it lunacy. On the other side, defenders pointed out something that's actually true and worth knowing. Women have played Jesus in stage productions before. Erivo herself had already sung Mary Magdalene in an all-female concept album years earlier. And Jesus Christ Superstar has never exactly been a strict, reverent Bible adaptation to begin with. It's a rock opera where Judas gets sympathy and there's no resurrection at the end. When Billboard asked Erivo about the backlash directly, her response was short. She said, "Why not? You can't please everyone." And then she added the line that ended up in basically every headline about this story, that hopefully people would come around and realize, quote, "It's a musical, the gayest place on earth." The show ran for 3 nights at the Hollywood Bowl in August 2025. Andrew Lloyd Webber himself, the composer of the original musical, was reportedly there and came out on stage afterward. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think casting controversies like this one are actually about the material, or do you think they're almost always about who's playing the role? Because I have a theory, and I bet a lot of you agree with me on this one. Okay, this next one is genuinely one of my favorite small celebrity stories of the year, and it has nothing to do with drama. It's just funny. Erivo and her Wicked co-star, Jonathan Bailey, became close during filming. So close that Erivo told The Hollywood Reporter she kept mixing up a specific detail about their history. She kept telling people that she and Bailey went to drama school together at RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. There's just one problem. Bailey never went to RADA. He never went to any formal drama school at all. He came up through the Royal Shakespeare Company after being discovered as a kid. According to Erivo, Bailey eventually had to correct her directly, telling her something like, "Sin, you keep saying we went to school together, but I didn't go to RADA." Erivo's explanation is honestly kind of sweet. She said she feels like she's known him for so long that her brain filled in a memory that never actually happened. Is that a little odd? Sure. Is it creepy, like some corners of the internet tried to frame it? I don't think so. I think that's just what happens when 2 people get close fast, and your brain starts backfilling the friendship with details that feel true even when they're not. Comment below with your honest take. Was this Oscar snub about the film, about the press tour, or about something else entirely? I already know the comment section is going to be unhinged in the best way. Subscribe to PopSip for more. See you in the next one!